What's up, everybody? I'm Michael Halcomb, and today I got comedian Daniel Quintero. Is it Quintero or Quintero? What do you
Quintero.
say?
Quintero. That's
Quintero. All right. There we go. I learned how to pronounce his name, and so did you. You're going to want to hear from him, man. Stick around for the Messed Up to Setos podcast.
It's all messed up, yeah. Everything's messed up. We're going from this mess up to the next setup. Everything seems so messed up, but it's just our setup.
All right, Daniel, man, it's good to meet you, Quintero. Did I say that right?
sounds great, Michael. Yeah, good to
Dude,
meet
I
you.
love I wish English had the trilling, the R trill. Like, it's kind of lame that we don't have that. Quintero. It's fun. Am I, like, over dramatic with it, Quintero? Or, like, how do you do it?
Yeah, actually, on my set, I always say Quintero. I just feel really silly. Only one R, but I add a few more.
I love that, dude. Because I speak Greek, ancient Greek. Basically, I teach Greek. That's why. And they have the trilling R in there. Plato, in one of his ancient works, described it. He was talking about how to pronounce letters of the alphabet and described the trilling R like the tongue is a rudder of a ship moving back and forth really quickly. So I always thought that was kind of creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish we had that in English. Anyway, so you're in Texas, man. You're based out of Texas. And tell us where you are right now.
I'm in Dallas, Texas, in a hotel. There's a local or regional comedy festival here, Shark Fest. It's
Okay.
a comedy club, so nearby. I got to perform last night, so I'm just in the hotel right now.
Right on, man. How did the show go last night?
Going great. We had people from out of town that were there on a business trip that stopped by because there was a show, and they stayed the whole show, and they bought us drinks after. They loved it, so that's always a good sign.
Wow, man, nice. Dude, I love when, like, fans are so into it. They want to, like, hang out afterwards and
Yeah.
tip you with a drink or a meal or cash or whatever. That's good times.
Yeah, especially cash.
That's good stuff, man. Well, good for you. Glad to hear it went well. So that you're in Dallas, but you're based out of San Antonio.
Yes, that's right. Most of my life.
Okay, man. I was saying before we started, I love San Antonio. It's a cool city.
Yeah, we always like to say it's like a big town, like the seventh largest, but it still feels like a small town. And
Right on.
love
And
that.
it's got a little bit of that, like, Venice, Italy feel with, like, the canal going through it and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Surprised
I
people
end
don't
up
fall in.
Right. Is that water nasty?
It is, yeah. It's dangerous.
I end up in San Antonio every, like, 3, 4, 5 years because I go to a Bible scholar / theologian / religious conference. And so I've loved going there. It's a pretty neat place. Despite being there all the time, dude, I've never yet made it to the Alamo. I've been, like, literally one block in an Airbnb from the Alamo, but have never made it there.
As long as you
that's
remember
cool. Yeah, I remember that I haven't been to the Alamo.
Yeah.
Well, dude, so you're a stand-up comedian. How long you been at that?
I've been doing it for 2.5 years, since February of 23.
All right, right on, dude. The first thing, you got a super noticeable visual, like a super noticeable look. The beard, the hair, the, like, bright colored jackets. Yeah. Where'd the idea for the bright colored jacket come from?
Weird Al, he's my inspiration. I've been
Right
to
on.
maybe, like 6 of his concerts. Always get the VIP, so I get to meet him. And, I love
Nice, dude.
his crazy outfits and everything like that. And, yeah, so that's part of it. And I just enjoy dressing
Wow.
up crazy.
Well, you've been to 6 Weird Al concerts. That's wild. Do you do musical comedy as well, or just stand up? Like,
Mainly
straight
stand-up and karaoke. I'm trying to incorporate more singing into my set, but we could talk about how to balance it without being too performative. Still trying to
Right.
have a
Yeah.
conversation with the audience.
Right. Dude, I find, as, like, someone who just does stand up, like, I find it very hard to follow a musician, or especially a comedy musician. Like,
Mhm.
those are my least favorite people to follow in a show. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy following them, but I enjoy their comedy. But we had a guy when I was in Hawaii that man, I had to follow him numerous times. He got up and took his guitar up and made up like parody songs and stuff. And it had a way of like, it was hard to match that energy when you
Yeah,
followed it, right?
exactly.
So somebody's up there singing and getting the crowd to sing, and then you come up and you're just talking, right? So
Yeah.
like I found it was a good challenge to try to navigate, and they came up with a few tricks to like create a little bit of a buffer between like that performer and like me when I had to
Mhm.
follow. But that was tough, dude. It was
Yeah,
really tough.
I can imagine that.
So yeah, right on. So how did you get into stand-up comedy?
I, well, before I did stand up, I was a big public speaker. In high school, I did debate. College, I did some
Right on.
speech events, yeah. And at my work, at my church, some presentations as well. So I really enjoyed public speaking, but I wanted a new challenge. And I've always heard that stand up comedy is the most difficult form of public speaking, trying to make
Right.
strangers laugh. And so that always was on my mind for maybe a few years before I actually got started. And then, like 6 months before, I was like, okay, I'm going to commit to it. So I wrote 6 months of material, and I looked up an open mic in my area. I asked my best friend to come with me, and we both did comedy for the first time at that open mic. And those jokes I've never used again.
Is your friend still with it?
No, he's more of a musician now, so, but
All
we still have
right.
that same origin story.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So you've been at it 2.5 years, and you're doing shows. You got some people buying you drinks afterward. I'm wondering. This is a question I like to ask people when they come on the show. I've just recently started doing it. Like, if a newbie were watching this episode of me and you talking, and they were thinking about doing stand up for the first time, like what's like one piece of advice you would give them?
Yeah, I would say start clean. I know I'm a clean comedian
Yeah,
only, but I think it's going to be so much easier when you start just writing clean and not having to focus on shock value, but really just getting those jokes concrete. Um, and writing. I love the writing aspect of comedy. So I think you have all these ideas. Just start organizing them on paper or on a Word document, and just bringing them on stage. I would say, yeah,
yes,
that's the main thing.
I love that, dude. I think that's so important. Like, start clean. Such good advice, man. And I think, yeah, if you start that way, you don't have to worry about, I don't know, stuff biting you in the rear end on like on the other side of it.
Yeah.
It raises another question too of like, I'm curious how you might define clean, right? Because like there's maybe as many definitions of clean as there are clean comedians. So what's clean from where you stand?
Yeah, I thought about that. I think it has to do with making people not feel uncomfortable. So that can
Mm,
vary in the venue that you're at. Not making people feel uncomfortable in a church is different than in a regular club. So I think that's a good like framework on how to approach your set. Like even me, I'm a clean comedian, but there's like a few little tags that I don't even do at church events. 'Cause I'm like, I'm a little nervous that someone might not like that as much.
right, right. Yes. Yeah, I find that like interesting, like the variance between what some people define as clean. I talked to a clean comedian on here, like for another episode, and he is like started defining his comedy as kind comedy, which I found intriguing as well.
Hmm.
Uncomfortable, not making people uncomfortable, but there has to be like some tension in jokes, right? Like that, there's like a tension kind of release. Do you roast at all, like during your comedy, or no?
No, and that's actually been one of my biggest struggles is how to create that tension as a clean comedian, especially when I
Right,
started using a lot of wordplay and silly one-liners.
right,
So it's all about that. I think it feeds into being a good storyteller as well when you create that tension and then that release in a
right.
very subtle way. But to do it clean, it's powerful.
Have other non-clean comedians, how have they reacted to you?
I've gotten good feedback and great support. Like it's so cool to be able to do jokes in a church and do the same jokes pretty much at a club, or even
Right,
I've done a few dark shows as well as a clean comedian
right,
because
right,
the topics, can be very similar.
right. I think like I don't know. I have like a couple of edgy jokes. They're not vulgar. They're not sexual. They're not necessarily unclean, but I wouldn't do them like at a church show,
Sure.
right? like I would tell them to my kids, but I wouldn't tell them necessarily in front of other people's kids, right? Because I know like the morality bar is different for other people's families. Um, yeah, I had a booker reach out to me recently for a show, and he asked, "Can you do 15 minutes squeaky clean?" And he said, "If so, you're gonna have to delete this joke and this joke from the tape you sent me."
Wow.
So that, you know, like I said, like, you know, the bar like moves from comedian to comedian for what clean is necessarily. So sometimes I go right up to that edge. I had someone say to me, another comedian say to me in Hawaii, you're like the dirtiest clean comedian I've ever heard."
Wow.
And I'm like not dirty at all. Maybe he said edgiest. You're the edgiest clean comedian I've ever heard. I think that's what he said. But
Pretty cool.
so that was, you know, interesting to hear that. So yeah, the reactions that I've gotten as a clean comedian, and I've had non-clean comedians say things too, like we can all tell that you could take it way further, but you just never do, right? And that to me is like a compliment.
Yeah.
They're they're seeing something about the craft. What got you to start clean and not go into blue comedy?
Well, I think it was just my natural disposition when I started comedy. I wasn't trying to be clean. I just was, doing comedy based on jokes that I liked, and
See,
people realized it was clean. And
right,
so it's like, I guess I'm a clean comedian. But now I love it, like that idea of making people feel comfortable. And I think in that sense, it's just like they don't have to worry that something's gonna cause them to have to pause from the story, and they want to be involved in the story without, like, I guess, a
right,
good barriers, that they're in a safe spot where they're going to hear something that's going to still be exciting and fun, but not get them out of the story because, oh, it's too extreme.
right,
So I just
right.
love that I can, do comedy for kids, for
Yeah,
older people at church. It's just so cool.
yeah. So you seem to be. I mean, you got a quite a bit going on right now. You're traveling over throughout Texas. Like,
Hmm.
what do you got going on right now?
I got this Dallas show, and then have another show in Pennsylvania actually in about in a few
Oh,
weeks.
that's right.
Yeah,
I saw
comedy.
your schedule. Right, I saw that post on Instagram. I think it was.
Hmm.
So you're going to Pennsylvania. Are you do you do comedy full time? Like,
I
is this
don't.
a part time thing
Not
right
yet.
now?
Soon, hopefully, but no, I
Yeah,
use a lot of PTO.
right. Got you. Are you married? Do you have kids?
I am married, no kids yet, but yeah, I've been married
Okay.
for about 4 years, and so I started comedy being married, and it just seems wild that people can do comedy single in their 20s.
Right, right.
I don't think I
Yeah,
could have done that.
yeah, yeah. And your wife supportive, I assume?
She is. I mean, she was there at that first open mic, all 3 hours of it, and I was the second comedian, so.
Wow. Yeah, she hung in there. Open mics are often a slog to get through, dude.
Oh yeah, it's a workout for sure.
My wife does not like the comedy scene, like the club scene at all. Like she despises it. And you know, she's asked me a couple of times like, why do you keep putting yourself in, you know, those situations, like, you know, those environments?
Sure.
And it's a fair question. You know, she's super supportive, and when she asks that, she's looking out, right? Like, you know, I don't want anything you to get in anything you shouldn't. But you know that won't happen. But it's interesting because these are people that I'm, you know, I would never otherwise be around and never
Yeah.
otherwise be talking to. And you know, I don't go into like a secular club trying to evangelize or anything like that. But it's odd how often it happens that people will ask me about my faith or bring up
Mhm.
the issue of faith or something like that, and then I'll find myself standing in a club talking to somebody about my faith. Like, it's wild how often that happens.
I love that. Yeah, just being a silent witness, or by your comedy too.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, you're going into a place, you know, a lot of comedians are hurting. You know,
Yeah.
their comedy comes out of their pain, and you get to go in there and make people laugh. Like,
Yeah.
what a great uniter, you know, and you know, to invite people out of their pain for a second, perhaps into mine, so that they can laugh and learn to laugh through it. So I think that's huge, man. I think
That's so
it's
beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
important to do that. Well, you mentioned joke writing too. You love joke writing. I asked you what would be a piece of advice for like performing that you would give, but when it comes to joke writing, like what would be a piece of advice you would give somebody who's looking or thinking about starting in the stand-up comedy when it comes to joke writing?
Yeah. I think it's great to start with one-liners. That's how I started
Mm.
because it helps you just see the connections in words to be able to break them apart and to quickly have a joke that's just there for you when you need it as a little backup. And then
Hmm.
from there, you can expand more into the storytelling. But I think if you learn how to write a joke, and the simplest joke to write is the one-liner, I think that sets you on a good foundation.
Hmm. Did you, when you were starting, did you take any classes? Did you read any books, watch any videos
Only after I started.
after you
Yeah,
started?
so I wrote everything myself without any guidance, and then after I started doing a few sets at open mics, then I would watch some YouTube videos. Gary Corley's book, of course, very
Right.
helpful.
Yep. He gets mentioned on my podcast. So I took a course with him. That was the very
Nice.
first thing I did when I decided I'm going to do stand up. It was December 28th, 2023. I'm going
Okay.
to do it.
Yeah.
Up to then, dude, it had just been a bucket list thing. Like I had
Yeah.
said, I'm going to do stand up comedy before I die. Right. And then on, yeah, December 28th, 2023, I was like, I'm just going to do it. Like, and the first thing I did, I signed up a class for him with him, and
Yeah.
it was an online course. And I think that was like a decent segue into things. Jerry likes focusing on technique and structure and structures and those sorts of things. So yeah, I think that was a good way to start, which it bothers me when I see or hear comedians who are like, oh, you can't teach, funny, you can't teach stand up, that sort of thing. Like,
Mm-mm.
no, I think you can teach some basics of it for sure.
Oh yeah, I agree. Like there's a beautiful structure of comedy writing, and then when you can like see things in just words and be able to like move them around in a certain way that leads to a greater punchline. I mean, it's logic, and that's I studied philosophy in college as
Exactly.
well, and so I see the
Exactly.
logical structure of things.
Exactly. And that is like one thing that I've been obsessed with, joke writing, but in sort of my own philosophy of like humor or of comedy, laughter is that every joke is a fallacy essentially, right? You're going to have a logical breakdown or multiple breakdowns
Yeah.
in a joke, right? And so if you can learn, one of my pieces of advice might be if you can study logical fallacies and propositions, I think you'll set yourself up well for being able to write jokes.
There
Right.
you
Yeah. So rhetorical structures, joke structures, logical structures, all those things feed into one another and play off one another. That's a good point that you make there. Awesome. So you mentioned you're like performing in churches and stuff like that. Are you a Christian?
Yes, Catholic, and
Yeah. All right.
yeah, so that's been part of my
Okay.
most of my life, and that's part of yeah how I trying to connect more with my jokes as a storyteller, my personal life.
Right.
So some of my jokes I'm including more of my religious beliefs and practices into the jokes that I'm doing.
Right. So have you've performed at a number of church events before?
Yeah, I think some parish festivals. I actually did a New Year's Eve lock-in show.
Nice.
I performed at
Nice.
11:40 p.m. and that was fun. The
For a
last
bunch
thing
of
they're gonna
teenagers?
yeah, the last thing they remember of this year, so I got to make it good.
That's hilarious, dude. So you were performing right up to the ball drop. That's funny, dude.
Pretty much.
Oh, that's great. Oh man. Yeah, so like who would you say have been like other than Weird Al?
Sure.
And I am curious though about Weird Al, like how he became a comic inspiration, but like who else? Who else has inspired you? What comedians do you like?
Yeah. Well, right in the local scene right now in Austin, Jennifer Fulwiler. She's
Okay.
also a great clean comedian. Of course, Nate Bargatze, the
Yeah,
king of clean
right.
comedy. And then, yeah, I think there's a lot of like the one-liner comedians throughout different. And I think, yeah, just those are the main influences of my comedy career right
Yeah.
now. And I just
Like
absorb
Stephen
as much.
Stephen Wright.
Uh,
Stephen, of course. Did you like Mitch Hedberg? Did you
yes, Mitch
listen?
Hedberg. Love his style. I tried to be that dry early on. I couldn't do it. I just smiled too much.
I saw a dry bar. Let me see if I can pull up his name here. Yeah, Bobby Tessel. Are you familiar with him?
I am not. No, I'll look it up.
You should check him out. I think his special is pretty good. I think the title of it is Rapid Fire Jokes, and
Okay.
it's just one-liners. Boom, boom for
Wow.
25 minutes, dude. Bobby Tessel. It's pretty good. Yeah, he's got some good stuff, and he has a nice way of adding some rhythm to the one-liners by using audience engagement and some callbacks and stuff in there as well. Bobby
Wow.
Tessel. I think you'd like him.
I'll check it out. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you can watch his dry bar on YouTube for free actually right now.
Nice. I always pay for the yearly subscription, and I forget to. So it was good to be there.
Yeah, very cool, man. So you got Pennsylvania coming up, and yeah, what's like was the impetus to get out there? Just like you talked to them and they wanted you to come out. Like, how'd that happen?
Yeah, actually, last year I applied for a comedy festival there, the Good Karma Comedy Festival,
Okay,
and I did it because the entrance fee was cheap, and I was like, let's just do it. And I got in, and that was my first festival. So my first actual comedy festival, I had to fly from Texas
okay.
to Pennsylvania, and it's actually in a little Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So I was like, oh, cool, some religious aspect
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
right, right, right. Yeah, so talk to me about festivals. That's something I'm 16, I'm in month 15 or 16 of doing stand up. And I was thinking like in 2026, I'll try to do some festivals, see if I can go to some festivals. What's that like? Because I haven't had that experience yet.
It's almost like a marathon of comedy because there's so many shows, so many comedians, so it's really just a networking experience, and
Right,
you bring your best stuff, and you get free stuff as well, like a T-shirt. So, but the main thing
right.
is just a place to network,
Gotcha.
go over
You
ideas.
found it, you found it beneficial?
Oh yeah, I love it,
Yeah.
and of course you add it to your resume, so hopefully that does something as well.
Yeah. So your aspirations are to do full time comedy. How far off do you think that is? Like, if you had to guess and put a number to it, you'd say like, hopefully be doing full time comedy in how many years?
Yeah, that's funny because that's a conversation I have with my wife a lot.
Yep.
We have to plan our budgets together and whatnot.
Right.
Um, Honestly, I don't have a number yet. I know my
Yeah.
most immediate small term goal is to get a dry bar special, and
Right.
and then hopefully that can open up more corporate gigs, other church
Yeah.
gigs, and then I can decide from there. But I guess hopefully within 5 years, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Have you cracked the code on getting a dry bar special? Like, what's the like? How are all these people doing that?
I haven't. I know there's some friends of mine that I connect with that have dry bars, but it's always like I don't want to be that person. Be like, hey, how do I get on?
Right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
like
Same
yeah,
here. I don't want to be the guy like, hey, get me in touch with whoever you're talking to over there.
exactly. And I'm like, am I ready? I don't think I'm ready yet. I want to be ready, but
Right. Well, very, very interesting. I think, a lot of comedians have that bar. Dry bar's kind of like the thing right now, right? For clean comedians. It's like a badge of honor.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm wondering what sort of, I don't know. I tend to think that there's going to be attempts to like parallel what Dry Bar is doing,
For sure.
and we'll see. We'll see if they get the sort of traction that Dry Bar's got, but it's pretty notable at the moment.
Yeah, well, I know Nate Bargatze is starting his own production company, so
Right. Yeah,
hoping to
yeah,
help
that's
new
true.
comedians.
Right. Yeah. So, good stuff, man. Well, Daniel, it's you got a website, right? What's your URL?
Yeah, arribadude.com. Yeah, I got
So
that like 10 years ago. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but now I know.
so here we go. I'll pull this up and let everybody see it so they can go check you out. And you got links to your socials on there.
Yep. EPK, that's what I was told I needed.
Yep. Arriba, dude. All right. So here you go. Got the EPK on there, upcoming events and whatnot. So very cool, man. Follow him. Go follow Daniel on Insta, Facebook, and YouTube. Yeah, and check out. By the way, if you're listening or watching, this is part one of our conversation. There'll be a part two, so make sure you're subscribed to the podcast over on Spotify or iTunes, whatever, as well.
Yeah.
In fact, if you head over to michaelhalcomb.live, you can subscribe here. It's like a daily blog, all things comedy related, and you'll be able to get the updates there as well. So check out arribadude.com, and after you've done that, check out michaelhalcomb.live so that you can stay tuned, and you'll know when further episodes drop, like part 2 of our conversation. But Daniel, dude, thanks for carving out some time to come on and do this. Looking forward to episode 2, where you're going to bring a joke that you've written, and we'll talk about it, and also do some jokes on the spot. So looking forward to that.
Yes, indeed.
Glad to have you on here, and everybody, we're going to stop there and say we hope that helps.
It's all messed up, yeah. Everything's messed up. We're going from this mess up to the next setup. Everything seems so messed up, but it's just our setup.